Tucker Carlson's texts have set off alarms of Fox News ahead of firing. This was a New York Times report. I'm going to pee again. I'm going to grab my fucking salad, and we're going to cover the top story of today. Tucker Carlson. And what the Fox News guys are claiming is the reason why he got fired. I'm going to tell you what I mean by that in a second.
Now, on Tucker Carlson's firing from Fox News, a new text message revealed by the New York Times alarmed Fox executives. Carlson was fired days after the text was seen by Fox's board. Senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky has the story. Good morning, Aaron.
George, good morning to you. The text message obtained by the New York Times from Tucker Carlson is racially charged, and it does appear to have set in motion both his firing from Fox News and the network's decision to settle with Dominion Voting Systems.
Overnight, the New York Times published a text message from Tucker Carlson to one of his producers, sent the day after the January 6th attack at the Capitol. Carlson described a video he had seen in which a group of Trump supporters had attacked someone he called an Antifa kid. It was 3 against 1 at least, he wrote. Jumping a guy like that is dishonorable, obviously. It's not how white men fight. The message continues, I found myself rooting for the mob against the man, hoping they'd hit him harder, kill him. Carlson wrote, I could taste it. Then the message said, an alarm went off. I'm becoming something I don't want to be. The message surfaced as part of Dominion's defamation lawsuit against Fox News. A redacted version appears in public court filings, but the Times reports members of Fox's board of directors became aware of the unredacted version on the eve of trial and were so alarmed by Carlson's views on violence and racial superiority, they took steps to investigate Carlson and settle the case for nearly $800 million. 6 days.
Fucking woke mind virus came for our boy, dude. Hey guys, I don't know if you know this, but it's incredibly shocking. I'm one of the Fox News executives involved in the process, and let me efendim anne. Boş ver havlasın. My mom is so funny. She's like, the dog is barking. Yeah, of course she is. What dogs do. Anyway, I'm the Fox News executive that's involved in the story. And when I hired Tucker Carlson, I hired him to do one thing and one thing only, which is racial propaganda, racial agitated propaganda in general. And I hired him because he was really good at it. But when I saw text messages in his private affairs that also was basically lighter versions of exactly what he says on camera, you could not believe my surprise. I mean, what? The guy we hired to say white nationalist screeds is maybe an out and about white nationalist in his private affairs? Wow. Sorry, that's messed up. That is messed up.
Days later, Fox News fired its highest-rated host.
Fox News did not respond to our request for comment this morning. Tucker Carlson has not commented on this text message, but the decision by Fox News to settle with Dominion kept him off the witness stand where, George, he could have been confronted with the text message and its inflammatory sentiments about violence and race. George.
And there are more Fox trials to come. Aaron, thanks very much.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here.
Shocked. I just don't understand, legitimately, if we are to take this as at face value, I don't understand why anyone would get fired for things that they say on camera. The discovery of the text message contributed to the chain of events that ultimately led to Tucker Carlson's firing. A text message sent by Tucker Carlson that set off a panic at the highest levels of Fox on its eve of its billion-dollar defamation trial showed its most popular host sharing his private, inflammatory views about violence and race. Here are the text messages from Tucker Carlson. in Exhibit 276. This is from the Dominion lawsuit. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let's cover the YouTube
We're learning what
video
Tucker Carlson
because
texted
I want
that
to
was
eat
so
while I cover
worrisome
it.
to Fox executives and the board that it reportedly contributed to his firing. The New York Times reported on the message, which was sent on January 7th, 2021, obviously a pivotal day right after the insurrection, just hours after those riots at the Capitol. And he was talking about a video he saw of Trump supporters beating up, in his words, an Antifa kid. It was redacted in the Dominion lawsuit court filings, but here's what part of the Times says is behind that big black box at the bottom, right, of those filings. A quote from Tucker's text, it read, quote, "It was 3 against 1, at least. Jumping a guy like that is dishonorable, obviously. It's not how white men fight. Yet suddenly I found myself rooting for the mob against the man, hoping they'd hit him harder, kill him. I really wanted them to hurt the kid. I could taste it. Then somewhere deep in my brain, an alarm went off. This isn't good for me. I'm becoming something I don't want to be." Close quote. The Times was only able to unveil the contents of that text through interviews with people who spoke on the condition of anonymity.
White men, famous for being nonviolent. Bro, that's literally So what's up? I don't get it. So that's basically what he would say on camera. It's basically what he has said on camera. He has said worse things on camera. Is it not allowed? Is Tucker Carlson not allowed to say what he would normally say at his 9 p.m. prime time slot, but in private affairs? What's going on? Back in the day, the roles were different. You could say significantly more racist things in private to your friends and family members than you could on television. Nowadays, I have a $20 million contract that tells me that at the top of the hour I have to serve a 3-minute ad break and tell you the most violent racial screeds, but when it comes to my private affairs, I can't be as racist as I want to. What's going on? At the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break. That's a contractual obligation. And I follow on my contractual obligations. Now, if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe. You can do that for $5, which, of course, doesn't get you much anywhere else. Thank you to Joe Biden's inflation. You can do that for free if you don't have $5 because you spent it on something life-saving like baby formula. That is, if you're able to get a baby formula to begin with. Ha ha! Or you can get it for free with a Twitch Prime or by getting gifted a sub. That would be socialism, but here we like to call it mutual aid. That's what the anarchists are calling it. Charity. Here's the 3-minute ad break now.
CNN reached out for comment. Fox declined. Carlson did not immediately respond.
Back with us now, writer at large for the New York Times, Jen Rittenberg, who helped break this story. We were talking about, you can't just say, yes, this is ultimately what led to it, but it's also the way that this came out and how executives found out about this. And we're seeing this message right before they were set to go to trial. What is the impact that had of when they learned about this?
Well, as we understand it, the board the trial was supposed to start on a Monday. Going into that weekend, the board had asked to see some of the redacted messages. There are negotiations about a potential settlement. The jury is coming together. So the board starts going through the messages, finds this one message that they find very troubling. Some senior executives were told hadn't been focused on this message. And it's not what you want to see when you're going into trial. A jury's being impaneled, and you're negotiating what's going to be a potentially very high number to get out of this, so you don't have to put something like this in front of a jury.
But for this text message being revealed to the board and Fox executives the night before the trial was supposed to begin, would there have been a trial and no settlement?
They were definitely working toward a settlement. And we were told that over the weekend, Lachlan Murdoch, one of the leaders of the company, had told his lawyers, let's start moving up on the number to get out of this anyway. I mean, that trial was going to be potentially disastrous on so many levels. So, but here again, you see, when it comes to Tucker Carlson, the issue here is that he's playing an outsized role in terms of problems in the case for them, when he's really not a huge part of the case. And that represents the trouble with Tucker Carlson to management at this point, among other things.
And the questions that still remain of why they did not settle sooner, because all of this damaging information came out, though obviously this came out as a part of good reporting. Abby Grossberg is the former Fox News producer who is now suing the network, and she was on with Anderson last night. She was talking about essentially the way things worked, and when it came to the fight that we all watched play out so dramatically in Washington over Kevin McCarthy and his bid to become House Speaker, she said this is what they talked about behind the scenes.
They believed that he could broker who was Speaker, House Speaker. He wanted to do that live on air, but Kevin McCarthy said no.
What do you mean he wanted to do that live on air?
His plan was to have Kevin McCarthy come on the show. So fast forward to January 5th, they start asking me to book McCarthy on the show that night. I had worked with him a lot when I was at Sunday Morning Futures and had a relationship with his team. That afternoon, Justin came in and he said, here's the plan. Tucker's going to first have Kevin on, hear him beg and grovel. Then we'll bring in Matt Gaetz, and Matt Gaetz will then kind of set his terms. Then Tucker will set his terms that McCarthy has to agree to.
Tucker Carlson had terms that McCarthy
had terms. And we're going to make this whole thing happen on air and save the Republican Party. Now, fortunately for
I 100% believe this. Like, I do not think this is even like 3% embellished. Okay? Like, other stuff, like, did Tucker Carlson get fired for being racist? I don't believe that. Okay? It's like you paid him to be racist. Of course he's sending racist text messages. Like, get the fuck out of here. I don't believe that. I think that's what the Rupert Murdoch line on this is, which I don't even think anyone fucking believes, let's be real. But do I believe that Tucker Carlson thought that he had the capabilities of like picking who the fucking House Speaker should be and what his individual terms would be for that? Yes. That tracks with the overwhelming majority of Republican politicians and what they have said behind closed doors. And what they haven't said since Tucker Carlson was fired. This person was one of the most powerful figures in American media. Why haven't people been out and about going crazy about them being fired from Fox News? Dan Crenshaw's done multiple videos about how Bud Light is making trans beer. Where the fuck are the videos about Tucker Carlson being unjustifiably fired from Fox News? Because they're terrified of Fox News' power. And they're probably relatively grateful that this singular individual that had the capacity to outshine the party at certain points no longer has that level of awesome power. Maybe they don't have an issue with the racist being fired. What's going on? Yeah. Republicans famously keep quiet when a racist person is fired. You're so right.
McCarthy's sake, he said no.
Speaks to the level of influence.
I mean, and that's why this is in a way so shocking. Look at that level of political influence that Tucker Carlson had. I mean, he was a power in the part of the party that's the tail wagging the dog right now. And so to suddenly be cut is really amazing. But that shows also this symbiosis that could happen with the Fox primetime and people in power, particularly Republicans. We saw it with the Trump White House, so here you see it again.
Yeah.
Jim, again, as Caitlin said, this came because of good reporting to you and your team. Kudos. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us.